Out till tomorrow because there's some things that the other kids have to change on their slides. So we might not be putting it out till tomorrow. Okay. Just so you guys know, I didn't want you to think I forgot. But, I mean, I could have, because I am getting old. You all laugh till you're getting old.
If they were flagged last time from the debate, will they like have a chance in winning again?
Wait, what?
I'll talk to you about
Is
it.
it-
Okay.
I'm confused on that question.
If he gets approved.
Wait, you
Okay,
can get
are we ready to start?
Are you ready, Brian? Okay, we're ready.
So these are our candidates. We have Aguna and we have Avi and Chastity. For each question, the candidates will have 1 minute to answer the question, and then there will be an offer to have a rebuttal, which will be 30 seconds max. We're gonna try to get to all the questions that were submitted on the Google form, but some of them have been combined to be one question. So, would you guys like to introduce yourselves first, or?
My name's Avi. I'm a rising senior. I was your junior rep this year with Chastity.
And my name is Chastity. I was also your junior rep this year, and I'm a rising senior.
Alright, hi, my name's Edwina, and I'm a rising senior this year as well. I'm an involved year-round student athlete, and I was a student body vice president this past year.
Alright, so first question. Why do you want to be president, and you can't say that you want to make a difference or to help people?
Sure, this is a great question. So as a class of 2024, I started my high school experience specifically online. And one of the first Zoom meetings that I ever went to outside of charter, I actually met another charter senior on there. And in the chat, she texted, hey, I just heard you go to charter. Is there anything you'd like to talk about? And later that night, we sat down in a call, and she talked to me about charter for over an hour and a half. And that was a really simple but small way to make my day. And it was really touching because in that time of isolation, I was able to connect with a community member from charter. And it was really cool. So later that year, when I came back in person during the hybrid schooling lunchtime, I then found out that she was a student body president, and I would like to have that same impact on people.
Ms. Toner, are you posting it on the board?
What? Why is there no audio?
I sent it to all the teachers.
How about you guys?
Okay, so Ms. Chandler was asking
Well,
how people
I
can
think
find it.
something that really touched me as a freshman was senior mentors. So my senior mentor was actually Emily Camille. She was a president, I think, 2 years ago, and I got her number, and I was actually able to talk with her throughout the whole first month of my schooling. And initially she told me that she was on student government, but I was a bit iffy about doing it because I was really nervous about how it would go. I've never had a leadership position before, but this year with Chastity, when she was running, we were like, we could do this together, and I never thought student government would turn out that way, and I really want to make a change in the school as a president.
No, I definitely agree with everything Avi said. We were in the same student mentor group as freshmen. That's how me and Avi became friends. And yeah, I guess there's.
No one can hear you guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do we fix that?
I don't know how do we.
Audio?
Brian's stressing.
I swear I could hear it on this end. Oh my god.
Is it that they can't hear us because we're too quiet and we're too far away?
Or how about all you guys like move
Should we
a
ask?
seat?
Should we shift? Should I go back and ask Owen if the audio's not working or we're too far
I
away?
just got a few emails of people. Can't hear them. Do you think if they just move up, it's better?
Wait, can they hear anything or is there just no volume at all?
Mr. Jerome said they are too quiet.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It just says the volume is very
Can
low
we
on the
move
video.
that forward?
That was from Mr.
Yeah.
Greenberg.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh.
It just says the volume is very low.
Should we restart?
I mean, yeah, probably.
So we just move up?
Good luck, guys.
Oh, Miss Boy.
Oh, Miss Boyd's like lurking at the door.
They can't hear them. So they're trying to figure out how to make them louder.
I wish I could say, I can help you. Can I get somebody to help
I
you?
think Brian is working.
Alright, let's bump the gain up.
Do you need, is there noise in here that's coming from the other side?
No, I don't think so.
Wait,
It's
are
really
we
quiet.
do you want to move the camera closer maybe? Is that the microphone from the phone?
I can try to, yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah, no.
Alright.
Hi, can you guys hear?
Waiting for a response.
Yeah,
It's
not
not
that I
coming.
would hear it, but.
Let's wait for the email to come in.
Yes, yeah.
I got one from Mr. Byrne and Mr. Greenberg.
Oh, Miss Pistachio.
Is Masashi looking
Talk louder.
Yeah.
Hi.
Whoa.
I hope
Hi,
this
everyone.
is louder slightly.
Okay, maybe we can just yell. Okay.
All right.
You start?
I think we should just keep going because,
Or keep going?
well, I think we should because we're gonna run out of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you plan to accomplish in your first 30 days and in your first 90 days?
So I think one of the biggest thing on our platform that we want to talk about is like communication and like creating better communication between students, student government, and teachers. And we want to like figure out a way to better release information into the student body, and that's definitely gonna be one of our first goals that we try to accomplish.
Yeah, on the same note with what Cassie said, we actually were talking to Ms. Toner and Ms. Chandler, I think last week about how there's a barrier between what teachers are saying and what students are saying and how that information is being passed through Schoology. So we want to work to create a platform or a website or something on Schoology for students to see important information only. We understand there are a lot of important updates and award winners and things on that note, but we feel like there's a difference in communication. We want to change that by making that post clear.
All right. So the question was 30 to 90 days, right?
Yeah, in your first 39 days and then in your first 90 days.
All right, that's a good question. So, first off, 30 days would sort of be right before we end school. So right before we end school, I'd make sure that we have both our wellness and our service days on the calendar. My platform is pretty easy to remember. It's CSW, or Communication, Service, and Wellness. And essentially what we make sure is that we have service days for the fall before we leave, and then also make sure that we have those wellness days on the calendar so that we can have more of them throughout the school year. Now, 90 days sounds a little bit more long-term, but to me that means over the summer. So I'd make sure that we're able to have more resources and wellness resources specifically for freshmen with freshman orientation, and then also making sure to start communicating with the student unions so that we can have joint admin meetings and proposing this stuff to admin. Along with this, over the summer, I'd make sure that Student Gov gets a little closer. This would be my third year on Gov Gang, as we call it. So I think this would be a great opportunity to make sure that we all can really get in sync. All right, thank you.
What do you plan to do to improve the school?
Yes, so a tenet of my platform is absolutely student involvement. So we've had a lot of student committees this year, and so many volunteers come out to that first meeting. But after that, sometimes things trail off, and that's why I feel like it's really important to have more student involvement. So what I propose is a resolution program. Now this is done at a lot of other schools as well, specifically colleges, where you can actually propose your own Senate resolution, and then they'll adapt it if it's voted on. So what I do here is have students propose their own resolutions, and then because we as Student Gov meet with admin so frequently, we'd make sure to get you both resources and administrative approval so that if you have an idea, you can act on it. One of the examples that I've given throughout my campaign is getting soap in the bathrooms. So one thing you could do is propose sort of a fundraiser for this soap, and then we would get you the interested students to sort of lobby for this, and then make sure that we can actually implement it later. Along with this, I'd increase the town halls that we have and make sure that there's a stronger connect, and maybe also add some vlogging. I'm co-captain of the speech and debate team, and we vlog on that Instagram, and it's a lot of fun.
What will you guys do to improve the school?
I really like what Ivina said. On a similar note to that, we would like to make Google Forms more accessible for people. So our president, Alyssa, this year, she has created a Google Form for people to voice their opinions, anything that they want to say about the school. But a lot of this form really is only in our Instagram bio, and no one really goes to it. We've only gotten like 4 responses, say. But if we make this like bi-monthly or monthly for people to respond, people will be more, feel like they should say something about our school. Because I know that a lot of people have opinions about the school, but they go unnoticed. So by making this Google form accessible for people, I think that we can take this to admin and tell them our advice. And on a similar note, we understand that town halls are really well for students, but because students have other academic or other volunteering clubs that they have to be a part of, they can't really come to town halls. So what we're proposing together is we're going to go on live every month with students for them to ask their questions, and we'll answer them and bring them up to admin at the next admin meeting.
I agree, obviously.
Yeah. Can I add something to that? Do you have a 30-second
Oh yeah, rebuttal.
All right. Yeah, so I think the live streams are certainly a great option. I don't know what we'll do without Brian next year, but what we can definitely do is working towards that Instagram and making sure that we have those vlogs with those people. So what we can also do is have students who are not elected to Student Gov also sort of run the Instagram and help out more, because seeing those friendly faces in your classes and with your friends is a great way to get more involved, and it'll make more of a connection between student gov and the rest of the student body.
Do you guys want to rebuttal?
Well, like what Ivina said, we think that student government has been very, very limited in our
Yeah.
proposition, but I think you were on LLS, I was on Be Positive. We've seen the impact that you can have working with other people, and we want to make volunteering more integral to what we're doing in student gov. And we can do that with these Google Forms, these input.
Yeah, and I definitely think that like increasing the use of Google Forms helps with like student representation, which is what we're here for.
And student unions.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the most important challenges facing our school to you, and how do you propose that you will try to address them?
I can go
Yeah.
on. Well, I think one big thing that this year I had the opportunity to do was talk with Mr. Valenti and this woman that came from Columbia to an admin meeting. She explained the divide that there is between students and teachers, because teachers are showing like a sort of an old school type of format of teaching, which could be changed for students to get and absorb more information. And by working with admin to change the way that students learn this information, we think CSW could be revolutionary in a way, in that it could be like new modern schools.
All right, yeah. So I totally agree on the communication and everything, specifically with academics, because so many people take those challenging classes. And this past year, we actually proposed to leadership with the midterms and taking a student survey and a poll. So that's really a tangible example of how exactly we can make a difference. I'd also like to place an emphasis on volunteering and reaching out to the community. What I'd propose is a CSW accessibility committee, where basically this past year at the town hall and with the open house, we had a platform where we sort of talked to incoming students about how to apply. But what I'd like to do, I went to Boys and Girls Club as a student, and I feel like it would be really helpful if we went to these middle schools and actually reached out with our application in conjunction with peer tutoring, so that we can actually get them the materials and the tools that they need to ace that Terra Nova test. I think service day is also a super important thing, specifically with interview and making sure that our freshmen also get on there, because recently I started logging my service hours and I found out what I'm most passionate about. At the service day, I led Roots and Shoots Club, and that was a great opportunity. We actually got the honorable mention for the President's Environmental Youth Award after doing all of that service. So I think it's really cool where you can actually make a tangible impact by connecting students to service. Yeah.
Do any of you want to rebuttal?
Could I have another thing that we want to touch on, like what Ivina was saying, is that volunteering. CSW has been really like the epitome of students doing volunteering, extracurriculars, and academics. But we need to connect with all of those things in student government, which is why we propose meeting with student unions more and meeting with volunteering opportunities, like volunteering clubs and opportunities. As of now in the school, Be Positive is a big organization. We're so lucky to have them, but there are so many other clubs. I think there's one for Alzheimer's, there's LS, that we could meet with on a weekly basis and talk with them what they want to do for the school and integrate this to our wellness days and our service days.
Address how you will handle issues that arise between the students and the current school policies. For example, senior privilege and unfair grading policies.
Is that us first or Ivina?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think an integral part of this is definitely making sure that we have more admin meetings, but specifically making sure that we have more students at those admin meetings. I don't know if you can tell where we are right now, but we're in the conference room, and there are a lot of seats at the table, meaning that you can come and join us. And sort of what I'd like to do is also work more with the student unions. So this year I was sort of the liaison between student government and student unions, specifically with setting up those town halls, but I'd like to make sure that we have more of a connect between us. And what that would mean is inviting the student unions to come in and also advocate during our admin meetings so that we're able to make a change, because we all have the same goals of making our school a better place, but I think we can definitely make it better together. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question again?
Address how you will handle issues that arise between the students and the current school policies, like senior privilege and unfair grading policies.
Thank you. Well, I think one thing we want to do is bring admin to our town halls, because we are able to come to these admin meetings, but by bringing them to students and having them answer questions or answer these questions, they get a new perspective on student life and what students all are about. As student government, we represent you, but we want to start from the bottom, so from students to admin. And by going to these town hall meetings, we think that admin can better understand student issues. Like, for example, senior privilege. We understand that admin has not done this previously, which is why that they do not want to continue it. But by coming to these town halls and by seeing students in a different light, maybe they can change their mind on what these privileges are.
No, definitely. Like, I feel like right now it's a lot of, oh, like, they said this, so we're gonna say this, and that's how admin, like, there's too much disconnect between admin and students. So by using these forms, by having admin at town halls, we can improve the communication and they'll hear each other understand.
Could I respond?
Yes.
Alright, so on the note that admin wasn't there at the town halls, they have been at every town hall this year. And it's been a great opportunity for admin to show up and really understand what the students are feeling. Like, we had a thing on communicating service ideas and opportunities to students, and Ms. Urban took this in stride, and then right after she posted some more opportunities for students. And that's really an example of just how powerful the student communication can be. And by having more town halls with admin there at everything, which they have already been at, I think this is a great opportunity for us to improve our connection between the students and admin.
Can I respond?
Yes.
I definitely do agree with what Ivina said. Admin has been there, but I think we just need more admin involvement because I think it's good that our town halls are student-led, but we could do so much more if we had admin up there answering questions as well, because as of now, it's just students answering students' questions, but most of the questions students have are for admin, and we need to directly address them.
On what she was saying, I think only at one meeting the admin were actually there and walking and answering questions, and this was the beginning of the year too. But by having this progression throughout the year, students can really understand what students are going through, what student life is. So not only are they just standing back and watching, but they're actually able to talk and walk with us and student go.
Okay, next question. What are things that you guys have done as representative or as VP previously? How were the end results compared to what you were originally planning?
Okay, so in the fall, actually, Avi and I were head of the homecoming committee, and we had started from the beginning. We created our theme, and we saw through all of the decorations and everything. I think one of those days we actually spent like 17 hours at school. Like we got to school maybe at like 6:30, and then did our decorations, did normal school, and then stayed all the way after until like probably like 9 or something.
No, that was like really a profound experience for me because
Yeah.
we both had never been on student government before, but taking this role hands on, it was really a lot. But now that we've come this far, we really can't wait for prom. Me and Chastity have already got a hold of all the decorations, everything that needs to be planned, and we can't wait for you guys to come in the next week for prom.
Yeah.
For homecoming, we actually came like consecutively 3 back-to-back days. And
Yeah.
even though we had assignments, it was the beginning of the school year, we were able to push through and make it happen. So yeah, I
Exactly.
really wanted to thank you guys,
Yeah.
everyone that came for volunteering and
And I
helping us
think-
out.
Yeah, and everyone. Okay.
Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, so I think as a student representative of the entire student body, this has been something that's really awesome because I got to connect with so many different grade levels. Now I got to sort of collaborate with the wellness committee for freshman orientation, and this was really fun because I got to go in right before school started. And I was visiting family in India, and we had a planning meeting, and yeah, the time zones were like 3 a.m., but I woke up at them and I attended that meeting because it's so important to make sure that we are still connected. I remember for homecoming also, it was so fun staying after. I remember being alone in Miss Toner's room on homecoming night while the football game was going on, gluing like lotuses. And I feel like that is one of the best ideas and one of the best ways that we could really have like volunteering in the community. And over the past year, I've also worked on those town halls, and that's been really cool. I mean, I've sent a bunch of emails, and sometimes I get emails back when it says that the email address isn't right, but you sort of have to keep going, and I think that that's a great example of just what I can do as president for you and the rest of the student body.
We have well, actually, me and Chastity were really lucky, given the circumstances, to work very closely with Alyssa. We remember coming in like every activity period, like every day of the week, and we would always see Alyssa, Kayla, and our representatives. Like student government literally became like a family for us to see every week. And by working with them and talking about these issues, we think we can bridge these barriers between students. Because as of now, only we are coming to student gov. But by allowing other students to come to our like executive meetings, we can voice their opinions in toners and then bring them to admin the other day.
I love that idea of student involvement, and that's exactly why I also proposed the student resolution program, so that you would get to lead your own initiatives as well. It's really important that you have those advocates throughout the entire year of Student Gov. And when we look at Student Gov, we are mainly focused around events, but what we can do in that lull period between fall and spring is so important. Like near midterms and that time is when we can really make a change in our school, because we're sort of focused on more of the student experience. So making sure that we open up our proposals during that time period specifically would allow students to really make a change and communicate more with Student Gov.
Okay. A lot of clubs at Charter right now are focused solely on raising money, and to some people it seems like they are constantly asking for money. How do you feel about this club culture at Charter, and how will you encourage other clubs that aren't just for the resume to gain traction?
Yeah, so I think obviously money is a great part of fundraising, and that's sort of how you can get things for different service initiatives. But that's exactly why I'm also proposing service as a part of my platform, and making sure that we have more comprehensive service days where students are collaborating more often. Now, what we can do is shift it from that sort of resume padding club to really a meaningful service opportunity for you to get out into the community and help. Like this past service day, Eco Alliance had something great in the park, and that's a really great example of going outside of our school community and making a difference. And specifically in making sure that we have more involved students in the clubs that they do, maybe the clubs can start making service requirements or saying, hey, you need to attend this many meetings if you'd like to do this. And also with student unions, I'd love to start sort of planning our events more in tandem so that there aren't multiple events on the same time, so that students can go to as many as they want throughout the school year. I think that communication is of utmost importance if we want to make sure that students are able to do the most with their clubs, but also be really involved and have an in-depth sort of time with their clubs here.
I really like what Ivina said, and on a very similar note, both a good friend of ours, Ava DiBiase, she's been on Be Positive for a while. She actually proposed, she, in addition to the new moderator for the Be Positive Club, proposed that volunteering should be integral to Be Positive. So as of now, CSW students are only raising money and making that like their accomplishment. But by having volunteer hours as equal to raising money, we think that could make a difference on how we view volunteering and service. In this school, everyone's goal is to raise $100,000, but what they've been proposing is that this could also be like $50,000 to the $100,000 that you're proposing, and that could be very impactful. And my friend Akanksha, she is on the SASU Student Union, and she talked about how hard it is to have student unions propose these volunteering events, these activities, because admin hasn't been able to allow them happening. But by doing that, by meeting with our student unions and allowing admin to approve these clubs, we can improve volunteer opportunities.
All right, would anybody like to say anything else?
Yeah, sure. So on the note of service, as a former 2-year exec council member for Be Positive, I understand how much hard work goes into like fundraising and everything. Like sitting outside in front of Dunkin' for 2 hours, canning like almost every weekend is insane, but it's also something that really shows our commitment and dedication. So really channeling the same energy, because we have so many other service clubs that I think is really important. That's why I bolster our service days. So right now in our recent admin meeting, we were talking about having a Thanksgiving or sort of fall service day where we can really give back and give thanks to our community. So I think that's really something I push as student body president.
Do you guys have anything to say? I do.
In addition to the question that was asked, like how everyone's asking for money at the same time, we actually discussed this over the weekend, having a possible like flea market, so clubs and like other small businesses could come and sell their products and raise money, and it's all together, and it's not like we're at school constantly competing. Yeah.
On that note, actually, I went to CAB and I was here for TSA, and I was a communication arts major, and my teacher led the flea market, or the bazaar as they say, for other companies to raise money.
What do you guys plan to do differently than the previous president, and why?
Alyssa did a lot for us in CSW. We had our first town hall, we had our first wellness day, we had so many things that we had never had in CSW before. But we want to expand upon this and amplify our student voice. Like, as I said before, our Google form, or hearing students come to our student gov meetings. We're really happy with what Alyssa has done so far, but we think we can do more than that by, again, as I was saying, releasing this Google form more often, allowing admin to come to our town halls, having these lives.
Yeah, and definitely staying organized. Like, I think that Alyssa did a really good job this year, but we can also do more by helping students like get the information faster, so we're not constantly like, oh, like what's this do? When's this do? I think that the information just should just be there
Yeah.
and like, accessible.
Like prom money, for example, we literally, Miss Toner made a post and it was drowned by all these other,
Yeah.
I don't know what posts they were, but students did not know
Yeah.
when their prom money was due, and we had to extend that deadline. But we want to change this next year. We want to make sure that these deadlines won't have to be extended by working closely with Schoology and other platforms to minimize that information. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
2 minutes.
Okay. Wait, could you repeat the question again?
What do you plan on doing different than the previous president?
Alright, yeah, so I think Alyssa had some really cool service initiatives that were quite different from previous presidents. So she definitely had the thing of really outreaching to the community, and that was why we had that stand at the open house, and that's really cool. And I think what we can do is sort of build on that, because she set the foundation, but there's so much more we can also add. So with that, we would outreach to these other service initiatives and these community groups like Boys and Girls Club, say the Light program at other schools, and this is really great because we have more service and volunteer opportunities for CSW students. I know in AP Lang a few days ago, I read something about how volunteering can actually have a good impact on you, even though you're giving to others. And that's something that I'd really like to take forward. Another thing would definitely be communication. I think it's great that we've started doing those monthly updates. I know my Canva and my camera roll is like full of those like slides that we post on Instagram. But another thing we can do is add to that vlogging. Like I mentioned earlier, we vlog for speech and debate, and I think that's such a great idea and way to build community, in that we can really have these students connect with each other. Yeah, so that's what I would do differently.
Okay, so would you guys like to rebuttal, or would you like to answer the last question?
Last question.
Okay.
Last question.
If you guys were a utensil, what would you be and why?
Oh my gosh, okay, this is definitely from a person who does youth in government. They ask this every year at like the leadership election debate. If I was a utensil, I would be a can opener.
What would you guys be?
Okay, I would be a can opener because basically when you have a can, it seems like it's impossible to open, but as soon as you have a can opener, it's a lot easier. And I feel like I'm that catalyst. I can make things possible for the student body and the rest of the CSW community.
I know this sounds kind of funny, but it's a sport. Me and Chastity, we are such sport people. Like, we are so adaptable to anything. Like, trust us, we will make it happen, no matter what.
Yeah. And I think that we're just like, they're just always kind of conveniently
Exactly.
like there.
Like, we'll always be there for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
What was that?
Yep. Thank you,
All right,
Brian.
Thank you, Isla. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you guys.
Do you guys think, so